Yeah, I met Jeffrey in 2011. The focus was always he knew a lot of very rich people, and he was saying he could get them to give money to global health. You know, in retrospect, that was a dead end, and I was foolish to spend time with him. I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him.
You've no doubt seen the allegations, including some of them from the last 24 to 48 hours. Are they true?
No, apparently Jeffrey wrote an email to himself. That email was never sent. The email is, false. So I don't know what his thinking was there. It just reminds me, every minute I spent with him, I regret and I, apologize that I did that.
The problem is some of the things that he has sent and some of the information about other people that has come up in those files has been true. Why would he do this and say this about you, do you think?
It's factually true that I was only at dinners. I never went to the island. I never met any women. And so, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior.
Well, let me say this. I think we're having a reckoning as a society, right? No girl should ever be put in the situation that they were put in by Epstein and whatever was going on with all of the various people around him. No girl. I mean, it's beyond heartbreaking, right? I remember being those ages those girls were. I remember my daughters being those ages, right? So for me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage. But I have moved on from that. I purposely pushed it away and I moved on. I'm in a really unexpected, beautiful place in my life. So whatever questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it, those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me.
Well,
and I am so happy to be away from all the muck. It's just sadness for, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to eventually leave the foundation. For me, I've been able to move on in life, and I hope there's some justice for those now women.
Stephen Collinson's with me in Washington. In that interview, she does describe it as muck. I mean, she's not referring to the accusations or indeed denying it. She's basically describing the entire sleaze bag of material that is coming out of the Epstein, the tawdry, revolting nature of much of what's coming out. But here we have Gates specifically saying, I did nothing wrong, and there so far is no allegation that he did, other than that, as I say, some of this rather salacious business over that with his wife.
Yes, and I think what you're seeing here, in the absence of what you're seeing in the UK, which is the machinery of accountability and investigation taking off, in the United States, President Trump wants to get away from this. The Republican Congress doesn't really want to push him. So the focus is coming on a lot of these people who were named in the Epstein files to talk about what they knew about the situation, to talk about the allegations or suppositions about them, talk about what Epstein said about them in the emails. So that's almost filling the vacuum, if you like. And I think Melinda Gates, when she came out yesterday and said that it was up to her husband now to address this, I think she's talking for a lot of people and many of the victims who believe that they're not going to get justice here, especially since the administration said at the weekend that there's going to be no more charges. So where does this now story go? And I think it's narrowing in on this question of not just whether people did something nefarious, and as you said, there's no evidence that Bill Gates did anything criminally wrong, but what did all these people who continue to see Epstein After he came out of prison in 2009, what did they know? Are these sophisticated, smart masters of the universe that he was interacting with? Do they really not have any suspicion of what is going on? And if they do they owe some kind of self-reflection and some kind of obligation to Epstein's victims?
And even if they didn't know, or had no real reason, because a lot of this stuff is tangential in a sense, it begs the core question, which is what we were talking about on this program last week. It is, what were you thinking maintaining the contact with somebody who you knew had a past of such behavior?
Exactly. And what I found most interesting as you wade through this mountain of emails is not so much the stuff that we kind of knew about Epstein, about the allegations against him, that he was trafficking women and grooming women and abusing women. It's this amazing international network, the people he's talking to, diplomats, politicians, business people, getting people around his house to dinner. This is in 2013, 2015, 2016, well after everyone knew that he had a sex conviction in Florida and he spent 13 months in jail for. He is this center of this massive international nexus of famous, wealthy, powerful, rich people who he's trying to bring together. And that, I think, is so interesting. It tells us a little bit about how that world of philanthropy and high politics works, because he was able to try to match up people with money to people who needed money for various projects. But as you're saying, it does raise this question of, surely, what were these people doing associating with someone? Is it just that he was wealthy and influential and had money? Shouldn't there be another question that was asked at this point?
大家好，我是主播林家远。生活压力大，失眠、浅眠是现代人常见的烦恼。太阳星全效克菲尔益生菌现在进一步推出晚安加强版，添加水染 GABA、色氨酸、茶氨酸、香蜂草4大天然草本，选择太阳星全效克菲尔益生菌，做好日常保养，身体轻松无负担。每日克菲尔，时刻美好 ，Good Feel Good。请上快点购为健康下单，输入推荐码有额外折扣。太阳星全效克菲尔益生菌基础版、晚安加强版，新包装改版，内容不变，抽取更方便。要吃就吃最好的。